everybody, and welcome to my Stampin' Studio. I'm Tina Rappy, and today I'm going to show you how to make this card, which has a watercolor wash of an image behind it and then a die cut over the top. So we are going to start out with our grid paper here, and I have a piece of the watercolor paper. The stamp set that we're using is Blossoms and Blooms, and this is the main image that we're using. So let's go ahead here and we'll get started. So I'm starting out with the Seaside Spray ink, and the big image. So with a big one like this, I find it's easiest just to ink it up this way. The paper is bigger than I want, but I purposely want it bigger because we're going to cut part of it off. So let's put this down here and we'll push. Okay, so that's what we're looking for there. And then we're going to use the smaller of the two little flowers. And the ink that we're going to be using now is the Mango Melody. And we're just going to scatter a few of these around. Like that. And then next we want some leaves, so we're using the Pear Pizzazz. And we're actually going to be using all three little leaves. With the Pear Pizzazz, we're actually going to stamp it off once because I don't want the color to be quite as bright. So we want it just a little bit muted here. So each time I pick that up, I'm going to stamp it off once. And we just want the leaf images close to the flowers. Let's do one more right here. Okay, so those are the largest ones. And then we're going to go to the next sizes and just put a few of these in here. Whoops, stamp it off. Okay, and then with the tiniest leaf, that is going to kind of fill in between the different flowers here. And then we'll also put them right around the Mango Melody leaves as well. All right, so I'm happy with that. And then for the center of these big flowers, Misty Moonlight. And there is, excuse me, this image right here that has all these little dots. And so with Misty Moonlight, we're gonna get these in here. Like that. Okay, so we've got that nice bright look. And then what we're gonna do, where did I put it? I've got my spritzer. I've just got this filled up with water. And this is where you want to make sure that you've got something protecting your surface, and we are going to spritz it. And I will let you know as this happens, the paper is going to start to kind of curl up a little bit. So let's go ahead and spritz. Okay, so you can start to see that paper curl up, and I'm just going to put some stamps, clear blocks along the side so that it doesn't lift too much. Now while that is, you can sort of see the colors starting to blend and bleed a little bit. What I'm going to do while that's drying and everything is we're going to use the die from the Many Layered Blossoms. So there's two large ones. This one is more detailed and this is the one that we want. And so I'm going to cut this out of a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock. So let me get that done. Okay, so this is it here. And so now what I want to do is I want to cut off everything that is not one of these 5 large flowers. Okay, so I'm going to cut them off, just leaving the border of the large flower. So this is going to take a little bit of time, but we've got time while we're waiting for that paper, watercolor paper to dry. Okay, so that is everything cut off that is not one of the 5 flowers. And so here are the pieces that I cut off. We're just gonna tap those out of the way. Okay, so let's look at this. So you can see how the color has bled. This is gonna go on here. But what I wanna do now before I start assembling things is I wanna make sure this is nice and dry. So I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to take the heat tool to it. And get it nice and dry. So let's get that over with. It's all dry now. Let me get my inks out of the way. And then what I want to do is I want to put this right on top. So there's 2 things that I could do. One is I could use some of our adhesive sheets for it, or we can use some of the liquid glue. And I'm just choosing to use the liquid glue. Oops, I got one of these pieces on the back. All right, so we're just going to put little dots of the glue all around it to secure it down. This again is going to take a little while, so let me speed it up. Okay, so we've got enough of that on there. And then get it picked up here. And I'm just going to hold it down for a minute, less than a minute, for a few seconds. Okay, so we've got this. Now, this is obviously way too big to fit on our card base. So I'm going to use the paper trimmer. And I want to cut it so that it's 3 3/4 by 5. And so I'm just going to, I want it pretty much, I want to see most of this flower or leaf right here. So I'm going to cut it there as a start. And then, so I want it 5 inches tall. So if I cut it here, you're going to see that I am going to cut through the flower, and I'm fine with that. So you just want to hold it nice and secure. Okay, so we've cut that off, and then I want it 3 3/4 here. So I know that I want to get it close to the flower image. So let's do it there. So it just works out better having your piece larger than you need it to begin with. And then we're going to go here. So now it is the size that I need. Okay. And I want to stamp my sentiment, which is hello. And this is going to be in the Misty Moonlight ink. Right there. All right, now let's put it together. So I have a piece of Mango Melody that is just 1/8 of an inch larger. And so this measures, let's see, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. You will find all of the measurements and the products used on my blog, and that is stampinstudio.com. I'll have the full shopping list and everything there. Okay, so we have that. And then the card base itself is a piece of Misty Moonlight. which, let me grab my bone folder and get a nice crisp fold here. All right, this is going to go on the front. Like that. I love the way the colors bleed and everything, but yet you've got the real pop because we've got the die over the top. Now, let's not forget about the inside of the card. So let me set this aside for a minute. Bring this back over. I have a piece of Very Vanilla, and I chose Very Vanilla simply because the watercolor paper is not a true white. It's a little bit more of a vanilla, and so I thought this would work well with it. So we are going to go back to the same flower that we had here to begin with. I'm just going to get the ink off of it. Okay, and we are going to use the Seaside Spray. And down here in the corner, we are going to stamp a few flowers. I think that's about good. And then we have this little doodad, and this is going to be the center of these flowers, and that's in the Misty Moonlight. And then we have, where did it go? Not that, here it is. We have this teeny flower here, and that is going to be in the Mango Melody. And we're going to stamp a few of them around here. So we're making the inside to coordinate with the outside of the card. And then we want to go back to that tiniest little leaf and the Pear Pizzazz ink and stamp it off each time we put it on the cardstock. All right. I'm happy with that. A little adhesive on the back here. Oh, I think I'm running out. Nope, we're good. And get our card base back. Good there. Okay, so there is our card. Do you like it? I really like the way the colors bleed together, giving sort of an impressionistic look to it, yet everything pops. One of the few cards that all that I have is layers. Generally, I'm about layers, texture, and embellishments, but if you look closely at this watercolor paper, it really has some beautiful texture to it, and I kind of look at this die as an embellishment on the card. So I hoped you liked learning this technique, and I hope you were inspired to do some stamping yourself. If you want to make sure that you don't miss any of my projects, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button in red below the video. And also, if you want any of the products to make this card or anything else, please shop my store at stampinstudio.com. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day to spend with me in my Stampin' Studio. So, until we meet again, enjoy life, stamp something, and eat chocolate. Bye-bye.